We're going to get into the objection handling stuff now. And before we get into objection prevention, I just want you to understand that I had a manager, his name is Ethan Rudder, and he made me realize when I first got started in sales, he had never been in sales before, and he got into sales selling water filtration systems. He said, I knew that my sales skills weren't that great, so I just focused on being a master at objection handling. And if you can learn, overcome objections, then you can make up for a lack of skills in other areas of your demonstration. That's absolutely true. There's a reason why, like Grant Cardone, he's got a book, I think it's called Sell or Be Sold. Closer Survival Guide actually is what it is. And there's a bunch of different objection handling in there. Now, frankly, a lot of those objection handling things are kind of old school 90s car sales, high pressure kind of tactics. And I feel like there's better ones out there now. And so what I did when I joined NEPQ, I learned a lot of his objection handling. And a lot of his objection handling works with human psychology. And so I wanted to create this kind of around that, a quick, easy thing to go over where you could practice your objection handling to the most common objections that you get every single day and watch these videos over and over and over again, practice them over and over and over again, model, total immersion, and spaced repetition, right? The 3 pillars of mastery. So that's what this basically is. I want you to understand that if you can learn how to overcome objections, it will make up for a lack of skills in a lot of other areas. And a lot of times you might already have a pretty masterful presentation. You might already be pretty good at building rapport. You might already be pretty good at doing an inspection and a needs analysis and all this stuff. It's like catching a kickoff in the end zone and running it all the way across the field, across midfield, and then you get to like the 5 or 10 yard line and then you fumble the ball and the defense recovers. You did a great inspection, great rapport, great demo, did all of that, the pre-close, everything. You go and lay out your price and then you're like, don't know how to overcome objections. And then the only thing you know how to do to overcome objections is just lower price because the company trained you to funnel all objections down to price. Well, guess what? Not all objections are price. So if you try to overcome an objection with a price response, it's going to feel to the prospect like you're not even listening to them. And they're just going to mentally and emotionally shut down and kick you out of the house. There's something called logical or logistical objections. And then there's some fear-based objections. Ultimately, what a fear-based objection is they lack certainty. Tony Robbins has like this chart of the 6 basic human needs. Number 1 is certainty. Everybody needs to have like a reasonable expectation of how things are going to go, and things need to go according to plan. And if they don't go to according to plan, then people start freaking out a little bit. So people walk into these appointments with certainty that they're not going to buy today. And then all of a sudden you're putting pressure on them and you're saying, you mean I have to make a decision today to get this price? And then they start getting upset. Or the reason why they're not buying is because they're not quite certain your product is going to fit their need, or they're not quite certain that your product is the best deal on the market. That's why people aren't buying. It's because you didn't give them enough certainty. You didn't speak with enough certainty. You weren't delivering your messages with the right tonality. Speaking with certainty is ending on a downward inflection in your tonality, like I just did right there, instead of ending on an uptick. Because I'm not quite sure what I'm saying. So if I sound like I'm not quite sure what I'm saying, then the customer doesn't really feel a level of certainty. They don't really feel like maybe this is the right decision for me, because everything you do when you talk, you end in these upward inflections. Just this one little thing might make you an extra 10 grand this year if you learn how to control your vocal tonality to where all the time when you end a sentence, you end it on a downward inflection, like I just did right there. If you can speak with certainty and confidence, confidence sells, certainty sells. People don't buy from you because they don't have certainty. If they don't have certainty, then everything else doesn't matter. The other basic human needs doesn't need to be met until they have their need for certainty met. Needing their need for significance is number 3. Making them feel special, making them feel important, making them feel heard. And here's what Tony says, out of all these 6 basic human needs, if you can meet half of them, 3 or more, they become an addiction. So if you're able to meet this customer's needs in all these different ways, meet their need for love and connection, like you're actually showing through your tone of voice, like a concerned tone, and you're showing empathy for them, and you're making them feel heard and cared about, and that you're not just trying to close them, just so you can make a sale, but you're actually trying to help them solve a problem that needs to be solved eventually, and nobody else is solving this problem for them, why not us? That's 4. Growth and contribution, increasing the value of your home or being able to do other things with your time or whatever. And then contribution, you're helping a guy out like me, making them feel appreciated for the sale, right? You're helping our company grow. It's meeting their need for growth. When you can meet all of these 6 basic human needs for someone, then objections don't end up happening. And that's kind of the point of objection prevention. If we can do a really good job of building rapport in the beginning, do a really good job of doing inspections, do a really good job of bringing them around on everything, doing a really good job of basically trying to figure out what objections could possibly happen at the end and bring those things up earlier on in the conversation. I like to use the term like an objection like Godzilla. It's easier to kill Godzilla when it's a little baby monster rather than a full-grown monster tearing apart the city, eating the buildings and ripping planes out of skies and stuff like that, right? It's easier to overcome an objection earlier on in the conversation rather than at the end once you've given them the price. First things first, build great rapport. I teach this stuff in my coaching program, exactly how to build rapport, not in a generic, not in a way that's like people are like, all right, let's get on with this. Very short, very quick, very concise, little quick dopamine release, set the frame in the agenda so they have certainty on how things are going to go. I train all of this in my coaching program. And then in the discovery, asking them powerful questions. I'm asking them questions during the discovery process. So not only do I discover how to sell the client, but more importantly, the customer is discovering for themselves for the first time in their life why they need to do this, and they need to do this now. Objection prevention is the best way to overcome an objection.